Good evening. Hello, everybody. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you all doing? Happy Sunday and welcome. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here, all of you. Hi, Eileen. It's great to see you. Hi, Melissa, Karen, Adrina. Hello, Tanya, Corey, Kat, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Be set free. Thank you for joining me tonight. I appreciate you all so much. Oh, so you ready, Adrina? You ready? Yes, I am ready. Are you guys ready to have this conversation? I am so ready to have this conversation so that we can talk about it. We have been talking about, narcissism quite a lot as it pertains to relationships. But here's another relationship dynamic that, we haven't really talked about, but so many people still have to deal with and still try to wonder, how do I manage, how do I navigate having a narcissistic family, having narcissistic siblings, and it's the holidays here. And what do I do? Do I respond to the Hoover? Do I go join my family during the holiday? Listen, first of all, before we even get to the holiday, we already know you have the perfect excuse right now. We're in a pandemic. You're practicing social distancing. So there goes your excuse right there. And we know narcs don't like rules, so social distancing is not one of their favorites, and they will encourage you not to do it because they'll tell you I haven't been anywhere. I'm free of the virus. And meanwhile, they've been absolutely everywhere, just snarking. But welcome. And thank you for taking some time out of your evening, out of your weekend, or the ending part of your weekend with me. I hope that you are all keeping well. I hope that you are all taking care of yourselves. I have been fixing my tea so that I can, continue this conversation with you tonight. But welcome and thank you for being here. So let's get into our conversation tonight. If you have any questions, please do go ahead and drop them in the comments. I'm going to do my best to answer as many as I can while we are here tonight. And hopefully we all get something from this, that we're able to find some answers for questions that we may have. We may experience a level of healing in our lives, and we can continue to move forward. But let's see, narcissists, listen, they're there in absolutely every area of life. There's nothing at all. There's no area where they do not come. They are there in absolutely everything. And what's worse is when it comes to having narcissistic parents, from mothers to fathers, grandmothers, grandfathers. A lot of the times people ask hey, is this thing hereditary? Well, some things are learned behavior. Sometimes we look at this as a generational curse because it just seems to be in somebody's blood. They come out with all the ins and outs of how to be a narcissist, and they move so smoothly within the roles. But others are just really trained. And when you find that you have a narcissistic parent, and how with these parents, they'll have one child that will be their golden child that is put on the pedestal, while everybody else, all the other children, can be that scapegoat. And what the golden child essentially learns is that this behavior, whatever their child does, this behavior gets them rewarded, or it helps them stand out more, or just get them more affection or less punishment and that type of thing. And so they end up learning that, okay, this is how I need to act. And so it translates into all other areas of their life. You find that they're acting up in school, trying to get those same responses from their teachers and their classmates, and it just becomes part of their makeup. It becomes part of their character. So I know that many people, and I was just doing a video, not a video, I was just doing a live on TikTok, and I was just answering questions. One of the questions was also about, a woman who was really, when we have children with these people, we want our children to have both parents, but it's always a setup. A narcissist will never, let's get this, we all know this, let's just put it out there in case there's any confusion, or maybe you don't know, they don't love anybody. They don't love anybody. You can't pour from an empty vessel. They are a completely empty vessel. They have no clue as to who they are. They lack all and any compassion. Empathy. So when it comes to the empathy, there's no emotional intelligence, or emotional empathy, should I say. And without emotional empathy, how do you form compassion and intimacy for other people, children included? And a lot of people think that because it's the narcissist's child, that there's a level of grace that floats over that child's life. No, there's no such thing. There's no grace or anything like that when it's their child. They're still a tool. They're still no different than my phone. That's just what they are to the narcissist. They are a tool that is there to be used to their benefit. It is, it's just what it is. So don't ever think that, the co-parent is going to suddenly love the parent, or maybe it's you who was raised by the narcissist, and you're looking for, why was there no love? Why couldn't they just love me the way that I was? Or why couldn't they accept me for who I am? Or they don't accept themselves. You can't pour from an empty cup. To be able to love somebody, you must have a level of self-love. Even if we go to the word, it says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. We know that narcissists hate themselves. They are, they're shame-based individuals. And it's that level of shame that develops everything about their character, or, causes them to act the way that they do. So all they have to pour on you is shame. All they have to pour on you is all the feelings that they have about themselves. So no, it is no love at all. Not yesterday, not today, not tomorrow, never. And so, I want to just point that out there. But I have this comment up here: unbelievable timing. I just had a screaming match with my narc mother over her raging narc brother, my uncle, who caused our family immeasurable harm and trauma, and she still picks his side. I'm sorry that, this was your experience. And, they pick each other's sides. They support each other because, birds of a feather flock together. And it's almost like when they're in cahoots with one another, they seem to have more power, because that's just how it kind of works out, that they're able to do more damage together, working again in tandem. It's that spirit that is at work within them that does these things, or causes this much pain and hurt within the lives of the people that they come across. So it's always, you would think that no matter what, we stand up for our children, or we expect those that love us to stand up for us. But never, never, ever, when we're dealing with these type of people, do they ever stand up for anybody else but what serves their good. So, I'm sorry that was your experience. Give me just one moment. I just have to change one setting right here. So I'm going to do it as quickly as I can. All right, so I'm done. Okay, so thank you so much for sharing that with us. And with these screaming matches with these narcissists, we always find that we tend not to get anywhere, because narcissists, they just seem to know how to fight so much better. They're committed to their ways. They're committed to the screaming matches. They're committed to just, causing as much pain as possible. I hope that you're able to find some peace tonight and encouragement here with us as we talk about this, so that we can change how your night has been, and that you can go to bed with pleasant thoughts and have a restful night. This in narc season, holiday hoover, don't let them in. Listen, we're in narc season, and this is the time that they hoover. This is the time that they are going to use, everything possible to be able to continue the cycle of abuse, to continue to inflict that emotional pain and that abuse. And what does it do? What does it benefit them? They're able to go ahead and just get narcissistic supply. They're able to sit back and just relish in what they're able to do. Hey, Shayna, it's nice to see you. Welcome. We have to catch up. But so, yeah. Okay. How else could we explain full grown adults treating others inappropriately? Like, when it comes to, like, I don't know if any of you have ever experienced this. I'm sure you do, within the community, that with these, when we have a narcissist, right? Like, let's just say as siblings, adult siblings, they grow up, they've grown up doing what they've done. So you get to witness them, you get to watch it happen. But we see that they don't change. They're creatures of habit, and they continue to do the exact same thing over and over and over again. But where it becomes totally dysfunctional, and this is why, like I was speaking to the lady earlier tonight on TikTok, I was saying that it's dangerous to continue to allow, or, because, one of the blessings that narcissists actually we do get from them is that they, not all, but some of them, they don't want the responsibility of raising their children. So they check out and they move on. I think, when they do that, we've got to take it as a blessing in disguise, get our children the help through therapy, counseling, whatever, psychotherapy, whatever they need, so that they can heal. And we're going to show them as much love, compassion, and support as we possibly can, and give them the best upbringing that we can afford them, so that they can grow up as integrated adults and move on in their lives. Because when the narc parent has a hand in their lives or in their upbringing, they play a role, or they are able to sow seeds of dysfunction in this person's life, and then they grow up just like them. So now you get to see it happen in another part of the family, in another generation. And you see that even as this sibling has children, there is no love for them there. There's a total lack of responsibility, where the other siblings, should I say, now have to step in and take care of their children, figure out, what do we do with so-and-so's children? And even amongst parents, right? Amongst the parents who raise this child, there's never any peace or harmony, because you may find that one parent fully supports this person, because they may be the one who, maybe created the monster, maybe as a codependent, or even another narcissist. So they are always going to stand up for this child. They will always provide what this child needs. And this is where you also see that, this could be possibly a golden child, right? So it's put on a pedestal, all their needs are provided. You see that they don't always have to work. They're always just given what they need, because, they're master manipulators. So they know how to worm their way in and out of relationships to just get what they need. Or even, let's say they do have careers. It still shows in how they treat the people that they work with, whether if they are bosses or as co-workers, they still treat people very, very poorly, in a very disrespectful manner, which speaks volumes to how this continues to carry on throughout every aspect of their lives. Listen, narcissists are not just narcissists in the home. They're narcissists everywhere they go. So they stay in predator mode. So even when they're out in the streets, they're busy narking. They're busy scouting for the next best thing. They're busy, causing people confusion at work. Everything will have to be a competition about how good they can do this, or how much better they are than the next person. Or they'll also take on the role of the victim at work. Woe is me, because my family, this and that, and is never fully satisfied or at peace with anything. But the truth is, they know who they are. They know the role that they played. They know that the things that they did. But this is where you also are able to take a step back and look and ask yourself, like, how do you see them raising their children? For those of you who have narc siblings, those of you who have narc cousins, those of you who have narc parents, how do you see them raising their children? And so, that's one thing that I want you to really, take into consideration when you think about the children that you have, or how you are picking partners for your children. Like, what are the qualities that you're looking for in a potential mate, in somebody that you want to be with? Like, do they exhibit any of these signs? And don't ever for a single moment be ashamed of, being in a relationship or feeling like your life is behind, or you're behind. Everybody else is on chapter 10. That's fine. They can be on chapter 10 and you can be on chapter 2, but make your chapter 2 as beautiful as you deserve it to be, because we don't know what happened between their chapter 2 and chapter 8, So, I mean, chapter 10, but you focus on yourself and enjoy where you are, and, just live your life in the manner that respects your goals and honors your boundaries. Be Set Free says it's shocking to learn they don't even love their own children. It truly is. It truly is it's really shocking, because you would think, and then this is where, we can look at the female or the narcissistic mother. When we think about women carry children, we carry life, we bring them into the world. And so we would think, that, oh, there's going to be a level of love and care and compassion for this child. There is absolutely none. There's nothing but a cold heart at the other side. Some of these mothers look at their children and think, oh, well, remind the child constantly, forever and a day, that I was in labor for 52 hours and 27 minutes and 3 seconds, whatever it is. The child is never, ever given peace from that, or is always told that I brought you into this world, I'll take you out. These subtle threats, they can sit at the back of a child's mind. Some people are able to just let that roll off their shoulder, but not everybody is, So this is the messaging some children have received over and over again in their lives. So now, how do you form some internal stability, some internal peace? What is that child's internal dialogue? How do they trust themselves or feel safe or trust other people when you can't trust the very person that you call mom? So it's really crazy that they do that. But you find that, the female narcissist, they will use these children against their partners, against their spouses. They'll say things like, well, your dad left us and it's us. It's never that they left me because I'm a whole narcissist. It's never that they left this situation because I was treating them, I was cheating, I was lying, all of those things that they know they were doing. They'll flip the role and be the victim and allow that to be the narrative, because they always have to control what is being said by other people about their family. So you also hear them say things like, well, what happens in this family stays in this family. And this is where children are not comfortable enough to say, listen, this is what's happening in our home. Is this normal? I think my parents are crazy, but they're trained not to say anything. And so if they can't say anything, how are then they able to use the services of the school council or school counselors and that type of thing? And so they grow up, carrying this and wearing this shame that they grow up in. And later on in life, you find struggling to be able to self-validate, to self-comfort, self-soothe, looking for answers, throughout adulthood. So it's really crazy. Yeah. It's unbelievable that, even when it comes to their children, they really are like this, but that's the truth. And so, you can't make if you're co-parenting with one, first of all, co-parenting doesn't exist. It's counter-parenting. They counter you at each and every turn. That's what they're committed to. And that is their goal, to counter you all the time. This is absolutely very true. Thank you for mentioning it, Corey. Especially the older they get, the more vindictive and malicious they get. And what I found, and you can let me know what you think in the comments, guys, is that as they get older, they realize that their time is running low. So when you have them where they may have looked great, they may have had these wonderful bodies, these great features, time changes these things, and age just does what it does. Things hang, they sag. It just changes. And they're not always able to, process this, because looks are very important to them. Even if they may not be the prettiest or the most handsome, the way they dress themselves and, put themselves together matters a lot, because it gets them supply, it gets them fuel, it gets them, what they need. But as you know, as they get old and they start looking, and this is also common with the female narcissistic mothers, when their daughters start to, mature and their bodies start to take shape, or they're looking at the youth of their daughters, and that their lives are fully ahead of them and have access to do absolutely everything. They hate them for this. They're jealous and they're envious of their own child. Like, there is no border, there is no limits. These moms, there's no line that they don't cross. There's no boundary that they just don't cross. And so you find that the bitterness starts to set in, and they become vindictive and malicious when they realize that they're running out of time, and they're looking at their lives and how many people are no longer in the picture. You find, like, often children move on because they're not bothered with this anymore. They're tired and they're sick of it. Friends have moved on, neighbors have moved on, other family members are no longer interested. And so, that's when those personalities start to shift and you see the worst side of them. And it's, just knowing that my time is coming to an end. And honestly, once sickness starts to set in, there's that other thing, the next level of regret, or maybe even fear, because they realize, like, listen, I can't control this. And at one point in their life, or during this journey, they get to really realize that they're not gods. They truly believe that they are a demigod and that they're able to do all things. And so now here they're facing their truth, they're facing their future, they're facing what is ahead of them. And they realize that there is nothing that they can change. So when you have them, when you have family members who have to take care of them, who have to help them, get dressed, who have to help them, as they age, they become so bitter and extra vindictive to them because now they're coming from a position of being powerful or being able to do things, but are now completely dependent on these people. And so they tend to lash out. You would think common sense would tell them, like, listen, you're in a position now where you can't take care of yourself and you're at the mercy of somebody else. I need you to bring it down a couple notches. But no, they crank it up. They crank it up then. They just become worse. They become worse. It's insane. But, they're doing this to their family members, and even bringing more division, even lying, triangulating family member against family member, running smear campaigns in the family member, still turning people into flying monkeys, and, maximizing on the flying monkeys, and seeing who else they can pass this thing that they carry, pass this thing that they are onto. And, that's why they just groom the next part, the next family member to be just like them. So, you're absolutely right, Kat. Thanks for the comment. No compassion, no empathy, and they disregard everybody's feelings, and that is everybody who is in their lives. So it's just crazy. Here's another comment from Kat. They have outbursts like little children. I watched several family members in their 40s looking foolish now. And this is the time, like I was just saying, you expect them to start settling down, or, maybe even turning a leaf and, looking to, maybe make amends, fix relationships that they broke. That's a great question I want to ask, for those of you with NARC family members. Has any of them truly ever, tried to make amends with the family or with you, and, really come out and said, I know I did you wrong and I'm sorry about it, and we're actually genuine? Personally, I've never experienced it. I'm not holding my breath for it. I just anticipate that it is going to be what it's going to be, and they just are who they are, and again, will never change. So, they're creatures of habit, and they remain true to form. So nothing is going to change at all. So I'm just going to look at some more comments here, or questions. So here's a question. How can I protect my daughter from her narc father? He tends to use our daughter to try to control me. For example, when he's with her, nonstop texting me, but when he's away, he doesn't. You know, And here's a perfect example of how they use people as tools. So here is a father with his daughter, and it's limited time because, of course, the child is with you most of the time. And so instead of doing what would seem right and normal and healthy, he would spend time with his child and pour into her, but is spending time focused on you and what you're doing. And this is normal. This is normal narc behavior. They're operating in who they are at that moment. It is never about the children. Um, I remember my children would go off when they were slightly younger, and they would go off to their dad. And he would make all this noise about, I need to see my children. I need to see my children. You see a quick picture go up on social media of him and the kids. And then they'll be like, and then we didn't see him until it was time to leave. We would have to feed ourselves and all these type of things. So, I think one of the best things that you can do to protect your daughter from him, let me ask, like, were you married? Are you married? Currently separated, divorced? What is your situation with him? Or and is there any way that you can, first of all, I want to say is protect your daughter so that she is not going to be harmed. How old is she? Once our kids get to a certain age and they're able to verbalize that they don't want to go around this person, then we must honor that. Because, I believe, you have to check with with your state, because different. But here, once they were like 11, 12, I didn't have to worry about it, because they were, their voice mattered at that point. I mean, all of their voices matter, but it carried some weight when it came to even legally, them not having to spend time with him. So, if she's younger than that, then you'll have to, still have to wait a little bit. But, one thing that I want you to also consider is when she's with him, he's trying to control what you're doing with your time by taking up your time, because this would be the time that you have to go out, hang with your friends, be free, possibly go on a date, do whatever you want to do. But now if he's baiting you into arguments, if he's controlling you, if he's all up in your headspace, if he's taking up real estate in your mind, then what can you do? He's causing a distraction. So even if you are out, he's, his thought is that I'm in control of this. So it's still trying to control you. And this is one thing, narcissists are so good at, is using their children to control the other parent, using their children to be an extension. Everybody's an extension to a narcissist. But when it comes to their children, they still, it's like a prime extension. I'm trying to think of a phrase, like a golden extension that they just are so entitled to, and that gives them forever access to you. Protect her. If she doesn't have to go, then don't let her go. If she doesn't want to go, find out legally what you can do to protect her. Document, what she says is happening while she's there, or, document her complaints, document the things that he's saying to you about her, how she's spending her time there. Also find out, like, what are they doing together? Is he actually engaging with her? Is he spending time with her? Is he reading books to her? Are they coloring together? Are they doing stuff together? Or is she just in a room by herself watching TV while he does what he wants, harassing you in another room on the phone? What are they doing? And find out how you can use that to benefit you, because they really just do whatever, and don't care 1 ounce about these children. It's really about you, because it's not even about her. It's not even about her. And another thing to consider is, like, if he's focusing on doing other things like controlling you, texting you, harassing you while she's in his company, he's not paying attention to her. So he's not with her all the time. But now that she's in his presence and he's ignoring her to do these other things, how does that make her feel? So we got to also consider those feelings, and what is the message that it sends to a little girl about the value that she has, because our relationships as girls with our dads are important. So if dad is announcing right now that, nah, you're not worth my time, you're not worth my full attention, be sure that she gets a lot of love from you, a lot of compassion, and that you do spend time with her and you do fully engage with her. If she has, if you have loving males in your family who can step in and reaffirm her worth and her value as a young woman who will become, as a young girl who will grow up to be a woman, a wife, a mother one day, allow them to speak into her and spend time with her. Um, Therapy if you have to, and if possible, so that she can get the tools to process her emotions. Sometimes it's easy that we can say, oh, let's talk about how you feel, but other times the children need the tools to be able to express their true feelings and deal with anything else that is going on that as parents we may miss. We're not licensed therapists, we're not licensed counselors or psychotherapists that we will be able to pick up on everything, but do your best so that you can, do what you can to to cover as many bases as possible for her. And above all else, pray for your child. I believe in the power of prayer. So pray for her when she's going, pray for her while she's there. Just pray for her. It says pray without ceasing. So I hope that answers some of your questions. I hope that it answers your question and points you in a direction that would help you and serve you and your daughter as you continue to move forward. I wish you all the best. And thank you so much for asking it and for trusting that I would have an answer for you. I appreciate your time. Okay, hi, Healing Through Inspiration. I chose to highlight your comment because I know we've spoken before and you talk about some of the things that you encounter. If I'm remembering well, you can remind me in the comments, are both your parents the narcs? And how are you doing? How is your living situation? Are they providing financially now? Are you okay? So let us know in the comments. Hey Tanya, so I missed something in the comments, but my ex-sociopath told me it's because his daughter is starting to be opinionated like a woman. And so this is why they stop liking their daughters. This is why they start treating their daughters, they start devaluing them. Okay. They are physically abusive and they always use blame shift. I wish I could talk to my mom, but my dad is a narcissist. Hi, Jamaican Barbie. Thank you for joining us tonight. It's true that, when you have one parent who's a narcissist, it becomes very difficult to have a relationship with the other parent, especially if the other parent has like some really serious codependency where, everything with the narc parent is fine and they stand up and they take up for that parent and make excuses about how they treated you, and even to the point where it's okay, like, oh well, maybe if you did this better or if you didn't do that. But they fully take on the side of the narcissist. And where that's so bad and it's so harmful for the children is that it sends a message that you're not worth me standing up for. I'd rather just focus on this person and please this person than do what's right for you. And so again, think about the subliminal message that sends into the child. And if this is some children are growing up in these situations, so what does it do for the children long term? What are the effects? And so I wanted to have this conversation so that we can just shed some pain, or share some of our stories of pain about what our experiences are, whether we're raising children with narcissists or whether you grew up with it or that was your family situation. And for those that currently don't have children or have children, would be able to look at the other side, what it was like to grow up. So you'd kind of have a look into a glance into what your children could possibly or potentially face with a narcissistic parent. So, I'm glad that you shared your experience with us, because what that does is, we know the narcissistic mother is not going, she didn't validate you, right? And so that does stuff to you as a grown up. Children who are not validated don't trust themselves. They have, more difficulty as adults making decisions, or just trusting that their decisions are good, or even making honorable decisions for themselves. A lot of the times, for some, they end up with some level of codependency. And so when we have a parent that does not take up for the child, then it also, reinforces that. But, I don't know if that's your particular situation. I know of somebody who, that was how it was for her. Dad just kind of checked out, and she was never able to establish a relationship with him, because it was like, if I have to deal with mom, then I have to deal with dad too. And so she just checked out also. But it's the same thing, because the mom is the narcissist. It's a barrier to that relationship. But you also have to remember that these narcissistic moms also are jealous of their daughters. So they're jealous of the attention that they get from the fathers. They're jealous of the attention that they get from any other male, because she always has to be the center of attention. So how dare you come along and try to take take what's mine, even though the relationship and the bond is different. So the love that a father may have for his child is always going to be put on pause. And so to the gentlemen who are listening, you also have to be careful, because sometimes you end up with these women who may seem good to you, and they tell you everything that's great, and actually are pulling you away from your daughters, because everything that she's saying, is sounding good, and she's grooming you for a role. She's grooming you to play a particular part in your life. But the terrible part of it is that it messes your relationship with a child that is yours, with a little girl, a young lady that looks up to you and needs you. And so, you've got to be careful also that the women that you're bringing into your life, you're fully qualifying them before you have your children around them. And it doesn't even matter how old your child is. That child could be just born, or she could be a whole grown up. That narcissistic woman will always look at your daughter as a threat. And likewise, ladies, that these narc men look at their sons' wives, girlfriends as opposition. Like, you're here to take my child away from me, and I'm going to fight you every step of the way, because this is my child and you will not have him. And so, the child is, and I'm calling this a child, but these are adults who are, who are being told that you can't go anywhere because nobody loves you like I do. So you really have to be careful when you see these signs. When you're able to tell, like, the man that you're dating, the man that is courting you, his mom is a narcissist, you better make a decision fast. Is he going to do what he needs to do to break that cord, or cut the cord with that narc mom, or not? Because your time is valuable and your time is non-refundable. So the longer you play this dance with them, it's more time you're not going to get back. Some of these men are not committed to, cutting the cord from their mothers, from their narcissistic mothers, because the mom plays too many games. She shows up sick. She's calling in sick. She's checking into the hospital sick. Now we're in COVID. We don't even know. I mean, they're telling their sons crazy stories. And nothing that you do will ever be good enough. The ex-girlfriend will be invited to everything. The ex-girlfriend her name will forever be said, that you should have married so-and-so. I liked her better. And, even though so-and-so may have been equally as toxic as the mother or whatever, but, when you see the signs, don't waste any more time, because it's not going to change. And if you see that the person that, you're talking to, courting, whatever, is not willing to make the change, then you also got to move on, because now you've got to consider the life that lies ahead of you. Are they going to fully, they're not going to change, first of all. So what is it going to be like you get married and you start having your own children? Now, what are your babies going to be subjected to? How is she going to use your own children against you? And so that's something for you to consider. It doesn't get better, it gets worse. And as she gets older, and even like if we flip the role and say this is about the dad, it's going to remain the same. It's a family dynamic. The family has everybody else in that family has played a role that has allowed this, and they will continue to play that supporting role so that this can continue. So if you think that you're going to come in here and shake things up, there's a good probability that you're going to face a lot of backlash, and you are going to be the black sheep. And so, you've got to be careful about that. Oh, here's a great comment from Be Set Free. I believe this was going back to our earlier comment. When he has the children, he's picturing you being free to do whatever with whomever. So he bugs you. So you're preoccupied with him. Exactly. Exactly. Cat BX. Okay. So she says, I wish somebody would tell me to turn the other cheek after I tell you what she has done. You would agree. So I forgive her, but I stay away. Here's the thing about forgiveness. A lot of people think that, oh, you forgive and we make amends. No. You are allowed to forgive. I highly encourage you to forgive, because forgiveness is the gift that you give yourself. It is what is going to set you free. It catapults your journey of healing. It is beneficial for you mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It is good for you, even physically. All around, forgiveness is good. It is for your benefits. But just because you forgive somebody, it does not at all, at any point in time, give them an automatic ticket back into your life. I forgive you, but you got to go. I'm keeping you over there. And that's it. It's now a boundary. When people do stuff to you and you decide that, you know what, I didn't like this, I'm going to enforce my boundary. That's just a consequence that they have to deal with, and you go about doing what you have to do. So I'm with you on that one. You forgive her, and if she has to stay over there, then hey, that's just what it is. That's just what it is. Oh, wow. A narc family member even sided with narc uncle, sex offender. My mother liked him so much. Yes. And yeah, this happens. And this is why, these type of things happen. Narcissists, or these predators, these sexual offenders, they are narcissists. Some of them are psychopaths, sociopaths, but this is who they are. And so to see other people, other narcs defend them, yeah, because birds of a feather, these people, these creatures, they work in tandem. And so they support each other, and they're there for one another. They encourage and they uplift each other in the things that they do that, would just revolt anybody else. But then they tell everybody, like, they diminish the crime, they make it insignificant. They blame the victim, they shame the victim, and everything gets swept under the rug. And, this is the cycle that we are here to break. This is why we are speaking out and saying that it's okay to speak your truth. It's okay to say this is what happened. It's okay, because you know what? We overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. So, your voices are important, and it's important because it says that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. So by expressing your experiences, by sharing what you've gone through, it empowers you. You continue to overcome. You continue to be strengthened. You continue to move forward in your journey of healing. But the word of your testimony actually empowers other people to have the courage to face their own truths. Sometimes when things are swept under the rug, people, especially when it comes to these family dynamics where we have this, don't tell people what's going on in our family, what stays here stays here, but people are facing all types of horrors in these homes. And so when they keep being told whatever happens here stays here, sweeping things such as this under the rug, they don't feel like it's safe to say it. They're worried about what other people would say. My family didn't believe me. They just disregarded it. I was blamed for it. I was shamed for it. But when they see this, then they too, because you speak up, because you say this is what was going on, because you're able to verbalize these things, they become empowered to do the same thing, and and it continues to go forward. So I want to thank you so much for for sharing that, because it is very true, and it happens so often. It's like, hello. Yeah, so narcissistic family members, narcissistic siblings, the scapegoat, and the golden child. So none of these things are healthy. And it's important that, you own your truth and you're able to tell yourself and no longer make excuses for what they did. Because what they did is the reason why some of the hangups that you have in life. And when I say hangups, some of the challenges, the personal challenges, the self validation, why we attract other narcissists, why we may settle for less than what we deserve. It stems from some of these things. And so it's important that you no longer allow those experiences to continue to define you. And so again, I got to go back to this comment and just thank you so much for sharing it. People who enable narcissists allow them to metastasize, which is why they get worse with age. As we go no contact, it causes a narc injury and makes their mask slip more often, which is so true. Their masks really do slip. But once that mask slips, you cannot unsee what you see. What you see is who they really are. When they're performing in that manner, then we know we have come face to face with the real them. Finally, the false self has been put to bed, and you are now facing what lies deep within them. So that's who you need to believe. You don't believe the sweet face. You don't believe the sweet words. You don't believe the sweet talk, because all of that is orchestrated to keep you indoctrinated in their love cults, keep you playing the role that they wrote for you. Narcissists, fantasy people, and so they have a role for everybody. They have a role when they start picking their targets, or within the children, within the family, within the home. They have a role for everybody. This one will do this one will be my golden child, and so they're only responsible for sitting here next to me and telling me how amazing I am, and I'm going to do the same to them. And we're going to just pick on everybody else. Like if we think about, what was that fairy tale, that Disney movie, Cinderella? The stepmother was a whole narcissist, and she had Cinderella was the only was the, what you call it, the scapegoat, and everybody else was her, they were hers. And because those were her children, she was the wicked stepmother. And again, I got to say this again to the fellas: be very careful about the women that you are bringing into your life and that you are having your children around. They know how long to hold up a mask. So allow these relationships time to mature. Allow them time to really show you who this person is. It's real good to be, to have somebody in your life, but allow yourself to see them through seasons. And I don't mean like cycles, like, winter, spring, summer, fall, but what are they like when they're happy? What are they like when they face lack? What are they like when they're challenged in their, family, in their finances, with friends? What are they like? Give yourself the chance to see people. And this is you too, ladies. This is all of us, so that we can make great decisions as we move forward. Because after we've dealt with this, we don't want to deal with this again. We want to get to the other side. The part that says there's a table prepared for us. That's where we're trying to go. We're trying to eat with the people that belong in our lives, because the meal is always better with good company. So don't forget that part. And there is good company, and you deserve it. Oh, YouTube. Excuse us, guys. Um, Mother and father should protect a child, not inflict pain. Hence, why a child protect my child as a career, as a full-time job. You're right. My mother supervises my ex-narcissist, and she would rub it in my face, updates on him, even when I ignore her. And this is the danger of it. Like, especially when they are able to, come together like that, then they start doing these, they start supporting, they play supporting roles for each other, all to inflict pain on, on you, on their, and mind you, like, this is your mother, but coming together with an ex-partner so that they can hurt you together. it doesn't make sense at all on any level, but this is what this abuse is. This is what this abuse does. This is the face of narcissism, caring nothing about the child that you bring into the world, all because it gives you satisfaction to, to feel like you are better than this person, And one thing about narcissistic moms, you find that they have no problem. They have no problem talking to their daughter's spouses. They have no problem flirting with their daughter's spouses in front of their daughters. They have, this is where you hear stories about the mom sleeping with the daughter's husband, especially when he's just as toxic as she is. I mean, there's no boundaries. There is no limits. These narcissistic mothers are the same women that have revolving doors in their home so that every week their child is faced with a new uncle all the time. All the time, there's a new uncle, and she does the most. She wants these growing children that she has in her home to know that, hey, mommy's getting it in tonight. And so, and she does the most just to, just to feel like, or have a one up on her children, or make them think that she's doing something special. No, there's several other people doing the same thing that you are doing. There's nothing special about it, but that's what she wants. She wants to set that tone with her children. It's really disgusting. It's really, really disgusting. Mothers have to protect their daughters from narcissistic fathers, because once her body starts to develop a bit, you will stop seeing her as a child. And that's what happened to me. I'm so sorry, Uniquely Made. And thank you so much for sharing that with us. And it's true. It's true. It's true. What you find is that a lot of the times, though, being that you have these narc fathers, they know what they know, and it's crazy because they look at their daughters or they look at their wives, right? And what she was prior to having kids, when she was younger, and she looked a certain way because her body hadn't changed from having kids. And so the narcissist always wants an upgrade, they always want something better. But there was something, you find that there was something about the mom that they liked. And so that fantasy carries on in their minds, and they live it out through their daughters. So some of them just straight out violate their daughters, while you have others that actually sweet talk and, they sweet talk their daughters, and they set them up for a whole seduction. They take their time, and they, just like any sex predator would groom their prey. They do the same thing with their daughters, and, just pull them in slowly, and sometimes have in some instances, you find that they have full-blown relationships with them. But it is our responsibility to take care of the children that we have, the children that are in our care, and those that our eyes are on. It is our responsibility to protect them from these narcissistic parents. There is no limit to what they really can do, and we can never underestimate what they're able to, how far they're able to go. We don't know, and who knows what actually pushes them over, because they're liable, or they're capable of doing anything. A narcissist is an unstable person, and and they move. Sometimes we have them as coverts, sometimes they're covert, but when triggered in a particular manner, it pushes them over the edge, and they start, that malignant part of them starts to show up, and they perform in that manner. So you really have to be careful and never underestimate them. You can't underestimate the power of evil. Pure wickedness is liable to do anything, and we see it right here. We're seeing it in the comments. We see it on TV every day. We hear about these things all the time. Evil is amongst us. Sometimes it's in our homes, and so you've got to protect these children. You've also got to be sure that we've been talking about mothers and fathers, but let's talk about uncles and aunts. They're able to do the very same thing to your children. And sometimes it may not be sexual abuse, but sometimes it'll be physical abuse. Sometimes it's emotional abuse. Sometimes they're not even feeding your children. So those of you who have babies and you're going to drop off your babies for babysitting, and your baby cannot talk, but this person is a whole narc. Well, what are they doing to the baby while you're not there? How are they taking care of this child that is so defenseless, that at the very minimum can't say, hey, I don't want to go back there? But, so you really have to be, very careful about these things. I hope you're doing okay, uniquely made, and thank you again for sharing your story with us tonight. And this is a good point. Thank you for highlighting this, that or saying this. It's important that we cut off the flying monkeys too. We can't heal in the environments, where we're hurt, and we can bring in people who support that behavior where, where you get hurt, or, where the offense is committed, because they just support it. They're always going to come back with news about the narcissist, or report to the narcissist what you are doing, so that they can continue to inflict that pain on you. And so this is why we cut everybody off. We cut off the flying monkeys. We cut off, toxic family members. All of them, they have to go. These people work in tandem. These spirits work in tandem, and we can never minimize that fact. They just are who they are, and you cannot allow this to, continue to fester in your life. Our goal is to overcome this thing. Our goal is to get to the place where we are healed, where we are whole, so that we can move forward in our lives in peace. So that was such a great point, and I want to thank you so much again for mentioning it. That big love and light to my fellow empath angels in here. We can win against these demons with God and with love. And this is the thing, it always comes back to it. It always comes back to this, is that with God, anything is possible. He is able to heal all of your pains. He is able to, sometimes it feels like, oh, I've wasted so much time, with this family, and what am I supposed to do? How am I ever going to get peace, and all those things? But with him, all things are possible. And allow him, don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed to just say, like, this is where I am, and I need you. You don't need a lot of words to talk to him. You need your heart, and it's your heart that he wants. So, be honest with him about where you are. You really, really have to, lean into him and allow him to do the work. A lot of these things, you know, a lot of these things are, they're set against who you are as a person. I'm talking about now your soul, but he's the giver of all things. He's the giver of life, and he's also your redeemer and your restorer. So that's who I would trust, and that's who I trust, So I encourage you for that. And I thank you, Karma, for saying that. Yeah, so I thank you so much for saying that and for sharing with us today. I saw a comment here I want to address. Okay, so this comment right here, morality is subjective. Narcissism is just based on a loss of morality, but they only pursue through self-interest, which isn't a bad nor good. So you can give objective reasoning why it's so bad. Well, first of all, there's nothing good about narcissism. So I'm just confused that you would say that here. I'm actually baffled, because that would take me to think that we would go and say that there is positive narcissism, but I've never heard of a positive rapist. I've never heard of a positive murderer. Those are narcissists. So there's nothing positive about that. And your self-interest cannot be detrimental to other people. So I have to disagree with this. Narcissists are all about themselves, absolutely, but to the detriment of those around them. So when you are at the point where you're, the well-being of your own children is beneath you, there's nothing positive about them. Narcissists are fully aware of what they're doing. They know that they're inflicting hurt. They know that they're, causing confusion and breaking hearts. They know that they leave a string of broken hearts behind them. And this is not just intimate partners, but within families. They know that the things that they do actually damage generations of, relationships within that family structure. And they do it and are able to sleep peacefully and not think about that. They're able to move on like nothing happened within their lives and be at peace with it within their core. That is not normal. That is not normal human behavior. It is, it's it's demonic, and that's just what that is. There's nothing positive about narcissism. There is no positive narcissism. I don't believe in that. I believe that they are wolves in sheep's clothing, and that's why the danger is bigger. And I do, like you say, Lotus Pearl, thanks for the comment. The narcissist mother is a smooth talker, charming, and pretend to be nice to the outside world. But in the meantime, as with all narcissists, absolutely, they are, they play the role. And this is where it gets even crazy, even going back to that last comment that I just highlighted. These same narcissists, like, even if we take them, I talked about the communal narcissist, how these people actually do things to be seen in community, like adopt children, become foster parents, and they do this just so that they can be seen in a positive light. But what they do to these children is ridiculous. Some of them are doing it for a check, and they, just have the children with the bare minimum in the house. And, that's supposed to be, a good thing or whatever. But no, they're doing this at the detriment of other people. There is nothing positive about that, and it's crazy when we have people who are actually adopting children so that they can be seen as heroes, yet they are abusing them behind closed doors. And mind you, sometimes it is the emotional abuse, yes, but other times they're cranking it up another notch, and there's physical abuse, there's verbal abuse, there's sexual abuse, there's all types of abuse. So, and all of this is just so that they can validate themselves or feel self-validated because they can't do it themselves. Nah. Please don't dismiss others' pain and severe trauma via the hands of a narcissist. That is an incorrect and irresponsible statement. Thank you so much for saying it. I just feel like this might not be the community for you, because we're not going to accept that here, and we don't accept gaslighting. So again, thank you for your time and for watching us, but you might want to go somewhere else, because we don't do that here. So you can go support another channel, and feel free to unsubscribe and don't come back. But we're not gonna do this here. Thank you. So anyway, back to what we were saying. We don't support narcissists. They are who they are, and that's just what it is. So for people who want to view narcissism as let's pity them or this and that, you feel free to go ahead and go do it somewhere else. But here we're going to talk about the truth about the pain that they bring into other people's lives, because you cannot heal from what you are not acknowledging. And if we continue to hold hands or have pity parties for these narcissists, then how do we see the truth? How do you protect yourself? How do you not encounter this again? Because who is telling the narcissist that what they're doing is okay? It's not okay. Who is telling the narcissist that this behavior needs to stop? Who is telling them that, what you're doing is detrimental to the well-being of other people? Cut it out. Who's telling them? Maybe you need to go have that conversation with them, okay? But anyway, thank you so much, Idrina. I appreciate that. Yeah, so okay. Let me have a sip of this tea. Excuse me, guys. Thank you for saying that. I just saw a question I wanted to highlight. Hold up a second. I'm sorry, I just can't find the comment that I saw. It just went away so fast. But anyway, we're back, guys. and it's okay. We know that narcissists do infiltrate our communities. We know that they do try to come and say stuff to throw us off. We know that they do watch these videos so that they can try to learn what we are saying and then use it to their benefit. But they will always expose themselves because they will always speak in a manner that serves their own interest. But don't forget, the truth that Don't allow people to come and tell you that the sky is red when we all know it's blue. Don't allow them to make what is immoral moral. Don't allow them to make this about, oh, it's healthy to have a level of narcissism. I think we talked about this a few weeks ago. There's nothing healthy about having a level of narcissism. I know that they say we all have narcissistic traits, and I get what they're saying, but those are qualities that make our personality. We don't have a cluster of things that are detrimental to other people. We don't seek to use people. We don't seek to abuse people. We don't seek to trample on people, to lie to them, to cheat, to deceive, to hurt, to abuse, to reject, and to just, use people for our own benefit, for our own good. We don't recycle. We're not shape shifting. We're not chameleons. That's who they are. But don't allow their perception and the lies that they want to tell you about this thing to be okay. It is never okay at all. And it's not okay for you to be gaslit, and don't ever be ashamed or afraid to stand up for yourself. You stand up for yourself and you stand tall in your truth. You stand tall in what you know. You stand tall on whose you are. And that's where your power is. He always comes to steal, kill, and destroy. He always comes to cause confusion. But we reject that now, and we denounce the lies of the enemy right now. And I declare that you will all get to your perfected, to the heavenly version of yourself. You will all walk in your prepared places, that anytime the enemy would come in like a flood, I declare, according to the word of God, he would raise a standard, that you would rise above every flood, that you would be able to see yourself as he sees you. Remember that his word says that you are the apple of his eye. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. And every tongue that rises up against you in judgment is already condemned. So listen, we're in good company right now. We're right where we need to be. So thank you. I had to have a moment. I had to bring my mind back. But I'm here. So thank you. So narcissism in the family, right? That's where we were. So 80s Baby asks, do you believe that we should be praying for them? That's a good question. And, I'm going to answer it as honestly as I can. I believe for some people, you are in a better position to pray for them. I think it's something that you have to, I think that God will put it on you, on your heart, if it is for you to pray for them. Because what I do believe, and I wholeheartedly believe this, is that these are people, they are humans. They've given themselves over to be used. They're under some influence. Something is going on. And so even their souls need deliverance, but they need deliverance. They need to be able to, they need to want it for themselves. So you can ask that the veil be lifted off their eyes as it was lifted off ours, that we were able to see them for who they are. We were able to take the truth for what it is. So you can pray for them, but not everybody is at that place. Not everybody is at that place, but we're all watchmen on the wall. We're all called to pray for each other. And so for those of you who are at that place, then go ahead and do it, because they themselves need to be freed from those demons. So I hope that answers your questions. And that's the truth. They themselves don't care, but it's, it may really seem like they don't care, right? And I'm just going on. They may seem like they don't care, but it's what's on the inside of them that is manifesting that way. And it's, their hearts have been so hardened. When we think of Pharaoh and, and how hard his heart was, it's no different, it's going to take the breath of God to fix it. You see, and this is, it's, that's why I said, like, Hey Shay, I said like it's really, it's a person per person thing, because a lot of the times the harm, the hurt, the pain that has been inflicted on people is so much that it's almost like you can't, or you don't want to, or there's just something that stops you from praying. I've shared, I think, in a video before, on how, when I'm with them in the last stages of their lives, and and I know from what the doctors have said about this person based on their medical history, or what their families are saying about them and the lives that they lived, that they actually were narcissists. And it's not that I wouldn't pray for them. I've tried, like I'll go in and do, like if I'm going and sitting with them for their last moments of their lives, it's hard to pray for them in those moments, because you come against so much resistance. And so it's hard. It's hard. I think, I don't know what it takes to actually do that. So there you go. That's why I feel like it's an assignment for some people to pray for them. Not everybody is going to pray for them. You pray for who God puts you on your heart, or who puts on your heart to pray for. If He puts that person on your heart, then pray for them. If He does not, I'm just saying. You're so welcome, and thank you for asking it. Um, Hi, Mike. Personal growth now. I probably speak for many of us here. The narcs have undoubtedly strengthened our relationship with God. And that's so true. It's because these type of relationships, they leave you hungering for something more. They leave you, they rob you of it feels like they rob you of the essence of who you are. It feels like, you have that part of you that's so essential to you that is missing, that part of like your soul, that's where you cry out from, like this pain. It's not that regular heartbreak pain, or that disappointment pain that you may experience at the hand of your family member, but this is a pain. And it's only God that can fix these things. It's only Him. And so that's why many of us, when we've come out of it, it's because we had to go to Him. We had to seek Him for the peace. We had to seek Him for the healing. We had to seek Him for the restoration. We had to seek Him for the knowledge about what we actually dealt with. Some of us, myself included, didn't know anything about this until He actually showed it and said, hey, this is what you dealt with. Now I'm going to heal you from it. Now that you know about it, don't go back there. It strengthens the relationship, because it really does, because He's the giver of life, and He's the restorer of all things. And so who else is going to restore your soul? It's going to take Him. And so that's why many people walk away feeling much stronger, um, afterwards, because we spend time with Him. Oh, this is Island Girl Ruby's take. As God cast Lucifer out of the heavens, so we must cast the narc out of our lives. And this is where we have the no contact. We set up boundaries to protect ourselves, so that we can move forward in our lives, preserving the gift that God has put on the inside of it, nurturing it so that we can use it, or He can use it through us. A lot of the times, the thing is that when you're with these people, you can't serve you can't serve God. It's because you can't, the scripture says you can't serve two masters. And I know money was an example, but even because the narcissist feels like they're your God, and the whole world has to go around them. So how do you serve God and you serve this other demigod? It doesn't work. We have to make our choice, so that we can really be honest, or fully committed to who we want to serve. And our decision speaks for themselves. um Hi, be set free. I was so naive. Narcs definitely woke me up to reality. It was hard losing my innocent mind, but it was a must. It had to be done, and it's a rude awakening, but it's those type of things that when you really awaken to it and you see it for what it is and you take the experience for what it is, we're able to gain a new perspective that really sets us forward in the path that we should go. And it's not that it's the narc who did it, but it's the mercy and the grace that's upon the situation, that's upon our lives, that propels us into the right direction. And that's where the beauty of it all comes in. And that's why they're so powerless, because they feel like they can do all things. They really can't. So thank you for sharing this with us, Lotus Pearl. It's these pains, that come from the place where we're supposed to be nurtured. It's these pains, that make it like, how then do you say that narcissism is okay when it comes from somebody so close, when it comes from somebody so important? I know that we can't do anything to take away what you've experienced, but I want you to know that we are here to support you as you continue to go forward and continue to heal and continue to journey forward in life and towards your prepared places. Sorry about what you experienced, but you don't walk alone. There are many people who here within our community who have similar experiences with you. So, you can always lean in and, get some help or some encouragement from us. But I thank you for being willing to be transparent and to be vulnerable and share something. It's not always easy to admit these things. A lot of the times, when it comes to this type of pain, it's crazy because it almost has a way of putting a seal over us that we don't want to talk about it, we don't want to share. But it's amazing, and it's a beautiful thing to see when we're able to really address how we truly feel and just put it out there. So I thank you so much for sharing it with us. So with faith, courage, and enthusiasm, we win. We are more than conquerors through Him who loves us. So thank you so much. I want to thank you guys. I decided to make this a little earlier tonight because we tend to stay up kind of late on Monday mornings. And on Sunday nights, and we have Monday morning and work and all of that. So I didn't want to hold you up longer, but I will be back with you at 7 on Tuesday. We can continue to have the conversation. I thank you for your time, and I appreciate you all so much. So thank you for joining me, and have a great evening, everybody.